afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for allowing me to interview at this very hour. And allow me to introduce myself. I am Ana Jane Disipulo, Mitilad student at Norso Main campus. So, sir, I will be asking some questions that is related to my course. So, to introduction, ICT specialization 2. So, are you ready, sir?
Yeah, sure. I'm
So,
ready. Yeah.
here's the question. So, question number 1. How will you compare traditional and modern way of teaching?
Okay, so when you're going to compare both like the traditional and the modern way of teaching, I think there's a really like big difference. Before there are no technologies, there are no gadgets to use. We only use like chalk and paper and so on. Well, today, everything is there, like your gadgets, internet, and so if you're going to compare, it's way like different. So today, the learning actually is very fast. It's easy for the students to access information compared to before. It's very hard. Though there are disadvantages and advantages, okay, to the differences that we have right now. Okay, for example, before, although there are no, the access is not easy, but still you can develop some traits of the students, like they become diligent, hardworking, patient, and so on. Well, today, although everything is there, everything can be accessed, some of the traits are not developed because the students are just relying and they are afraid to come out or to go out to their from their comfort zone. So they are afraid. Okay, so those are the differences as well as the disadvantage and the advantages.
Okay, the second question, sir, is as a citizen who belongs in Generation X, what are the experiences that you can share during your education years?
Okay, so during my education years, that was years ago already. So let's go back again to the idea of the situation, the actual situation. Like, so we're talking about we're 20, in the 21st century of learning, the education as well. So the difference is really big. So we always go back to that idea because if we're going to talk about education before and yes, today and my experience before as a student and my experience today, really different. So my experience before regarding my studies is I can say it's challenging, enjoyable, but the learning was there. Am I answering the question right?
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure either. Okay, so that's it.
Okay, so the third question is if you can bring back that time, would you still go back to the years where your education is not modernized or the use of technology is limited?
Okay, so if I am given or yes, given the chance to decide whether to go back or not, personally, I think yesterday or the previous like decade or so on before, the traditional way, the education before compared to this day, to be honest, is I think before, although there is no technology, it's better. I mean, the outcome, the results, especially to the students, I think it's better compared to today. Because this is based from my experience. Okay, so students nowadays are lacking in what they call this one, independence. Like, they cannot, most of them, this is based from my experience, cannot stand alone. Like answering questions, assignments, projects. So they rely to Google. Everything is there, right? So they rely to that source of information. So they forget to do it all by themselves. Like something like so. I'm given a chance. I think to go back. What was the question again? Yes?
To go back
To
to
choose
the
or
years
yes?
where you get to the modernized years.
If I'm given the chance to go back, yeah, I think yeah, I still choose to
Go back to
yes to
the
go back to the past, or I prefer to have the past. I think it's okay. It's okay to go back to the past, but it's better to go yes to what they call this to incorporate the traditional and the modern. Why not, right?
yes.
So yeah, but given the chance, go back to the question. I think it's okay to go back to choose the traditional one. Yeah, that's
Okay.
for my personal opinion, based from my experience.
Okay,
Yeah.
so fourth questions is which would you prefer? The use of projector or the use of green board where writing using chalk is very crucial.
Okay, so right now I'm teaching. I'm using the projector or the television. Okay, because whenever I have my discussion, I always have this PowerPoint presentation, and it is easier to discuss to the students your topic. Okay, with the use of with the aid or the help of PowerPoint presentation, because there are or most of the students are learn best when they see something. So compared to before, like before, although we are showing them something, but it's more on writing, like no pictures. It's just merely writing, like using the chalk and so on. So if I'm going to compare, I'm going to choose or yes, so it's better nowadays that we teach while you have the projector. The projector. Okay, so that's one way of actually using injecting what we have now to that education.
Okay, so the last question is what can you say on younger generation or early generation learners? Do they learn a lot or not? And why?
Younger generations of today,
Yes,
do they learn
and
a lot?
early generation.
I think we cannot say that. I think they learn on a specific thing, like oh yeah, they learn something. They learn something for sure. That's for sure. But if you are going to say that 99%, 95%, or most of them learn a lot, I don't think so. Because just like my students, I'm not generalizing. I am just stating the fact based from my observation. Again, hands-on. I mean, first-hand experience. Most of the students, I do not know what's the problem. Maybe the foundation, but most of them are lacking something like basic knowledge. I do not know what happened. Maybe because of the technology, or maybe because they do not know how to balance things. So I think the generations nowadays know something, but I don't think that they know a lot. Like just that is just based from my experience and based from the students that I encountered or I have encountered okay along the way or before right now.
So that's it, sir.
Now follow-up questions. Are you satisfied with my answers? I'm not sure either.
Yes, sir.
So this is on the spot.
I'm very satisfied with your answers, sir. Thank you for
Okay, so
your time, sir.
okay, so you're welcome, no problem. Thank you as well.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. Thank you for allowing me to interview to you at this very hour and allow me to introduce myself. I am Ana Jane Disipulo, the college student at Norso Main campus. Sir, I will be asking some question that is related to my course, Introduction ICT Specialization 2. Are you ready, sir?
Yes.
So,
I don't have a choice.
all right, so here's a question. So, question number one. How will you compare traditional and modern way of teaching?
Wow. So, um, as far as I remember, I experienced traditional as well as the modern way of teaching. Way back in elementary days, I experienced the chalk and talk type of learning. I experienced a plain class what we call this, where teacher acts only as what we call this, controller of the whole class. So we were not given the chance to learn socially. We were not given the chance to learn collaboratively. So that is part of the traditional way of teaching. And as years go by, when I am in high school, so it is the transition of traditional and the modern way of teaching. So I also experienced the modern way of teaching where there are presence of technologies, there are differentiated learning. So it is more student-centered or learner-centered type of teaching. So that's it, the difference between traditional and modern way of teaching.
Okay, next question. So, as a citizen who belong in Generation X, what are the experiences that you can share during your education years?
So you consider me as part of Generation X. So I will consider myself as a young adult. And the only thing that I want to share to you as younger learners, we were experienced teaching where what we call this attitude is more important. In fact, we experience a lot of punishment with our teachers. Not like today, the teachers are no longer having the right to punish or to give some punishment to students since we have this child protection policy. But I think that is the best way. The thing that we experienced way back on traditional way of teaching, that we were experience those kind of punishment, which helps us to be more responsible, to be more how to be more effective citizen, how to act wise, how to act what do we call this with good manners. So I think that is the best thing that we had experienced way back on how many years ago during traditional way of teaching. The um, attitude is what matters most in the classroom. That's it.
Okay, so next question. If you can bring back the time, would you still go back to the years where your education is not modernized or the use of technology is limited?
Since change is the only constant, yeah. So and 21st century skills are very much important and very much useful for our world as becoming modern. So for me, it is also best for us teachers to use some technologies in teaching. Since when we go back to traditional way of teaching where there is no technologies, shall I say, I didn't learn some 21st century skills. But today, I prefer in using some educational technologies as a sort of support in teaching since it is the best way, the best tool to get the students' attention and of course to make your class more engaging or memorable since you can add pictures, you can add a lot of what do we call this videos, audios, which makes more lively. Your class will be more lively. And of course, students will also learn those basic skills in 21st century.
Okay, so next question. Which would you prefer? The use of projector or the use of green board where writing using chalk is very pressure?
Mm, I think both of them is very much applicable nowadays. Since we are here in the hinterland, we cannot assure that every day there is electricity. So if we are going to depend on using projector, what if one day there will be power interruption? So do you think how you are going to deliver your class if you are only depending on one style of learning? So for me, I think both of that types or that what do you call this form of teaching is very important. in a way that chalk or green board is very helpful in terms of it is always available whether the classroom has electricity or not. And of course, projector is also very effective since, as I said a while ago, it makes it makes your class more lively, more engaging, since you can add a lot of examples, videos, pictures, which gives children or learners the visual effect of your topic, and of course, they can also learn some skills in terms of technologies using projectors. So I think both of them is still very much effective during this time.
Okay, so this is the last question, sir.
Okay, got it.
So, what can you say on younger generation or early generation learners? Do they learn a lot or not? Why?
Oh, that's a hard one. So to young learners, to learners in this new generation, you are so lucky. Yes, compared to us, you are so lucky since you have these platforms of learning. You can learn a lot of many things, whether you are in school or outside. Unlike us, that during our times, we are only depending on what our teacher is teaching. But this time, you can learn even through surfing internet. So what I want to say to all the learners is make the best, make your cell phones, make your time, make your what do we call this? Anything that you have, make use the best of it. Since, as I said a while ago, you can learn a lot of things even if you are not in the classroom. You can learn through social media. So instead of making social media into Facebook, YouTube, why not making use of social media into learning? Again, you are so lucky, so make the best use of your gadget and your time. So that's it.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.